In the first of these talks, I mentioned that the Bible is a library and contains different kinds of literature. We now move to that block of the New Testament, which goes by the name of epistles or letters. Letter writing, often using a scribe, was a popular way of communicating in the first Christian century, and there were definite formulas to be followed. Long before the Gospels came to be written down, St. Paul was busy writing letters to the churches that he had founded or visited in his 3 missionary journeys. The longest and most carefully worked through from a theological point of view is Romans. Despite coming at the beginning of the collection of epistles, it is likely the last one Paul wrote. This letter seems to have been written to open the way for Paul to visit Rome. As such, he is at pains to tease out the implications of his thinking about Jesus Christ, apparently well aware of the tensions in Rome between Jew and Gentile Christians. It is this letter that so profoundly influenced Martin Luther in the early 16th century, an influence which led to the Reformation in Western Europe. At a time when the church had gone stale and the excitement of the Christian gospel had been clouded, Luther discovered Paul's writing on grace. Paul's first letter, and the earliest complete written part of the New Testament, is thought to be 1 Thessalonians. Among my favourite pieces of Pauline writing is here his teaching on death and grief. Yes, Christians should and must grieve the death of a loved one, but with hope. As you read Paul's letters, many very familiar passages will jump out. It's worth digging a little to see the context of the passage and who the recipients of each letter likely were. Some years ago, I remember having a light bulb moment when in Corinth, standing in the ruins of the marketplace, where we used an ancient stone as the altar for our tourist Eucharist, our guide talked about the people of Corinth and their worship of Aphrodite through sacred prostitutes who roamed the city with uncovered hair. Suddenly, Paul's injunction to the Christian women of Corinth to cover their heads became crystal clear. Not all the letters that have Paul's name attached were written by him, and scholars argue long and hard over the question of authenticity. Suffice to say that much of our understanding of the early church and the topics that really mattered, the centrality of the cross, grace and faith, love and spiritual gifts, the Eucharist, the surprising equality of men and women, free and slave, Jew and Gentiles, come from the epistles. And by the way, there are other letters, definitely not written by Paul or even his followers, which enrich our understanding. As with any literature, so with the epistles. Acknowledging the genre and the world in which they were written enriches our understanding and our ability to make connections with our own world. It also helps to read the whole letter, not just a few verses. Another challenge for you there.